Not be afraid of what waits after death, my past self says to me as we share a peach slice. I don't understand him, all his cryptic philosophies of space and time, the age marks not grown on his face that define my own now, scarred some, pitted, distinct as pink ripened fruit is. Still, he's beautiful, telling me the answer to the question again and again. Will I have to die? Yes, he says, obviously. Now, I just need to understand the care he takes while taking a small thing apart. Each peach he lifts from his wicker basket subtracts delicately from my final balance. Notching the newly bruised skin of several, he understands what it means to count flesh, whereas I'm still learning. How is this possible? I say to him, my voice strange and too loud. Your days are adding up clearly, he says. Here, have a piece, holding up a peach half. What does it taste like? He asks me, his breath a sweet impermanence. Tell me what it tastes like. It's kind of fun to read with a pillar because I know there's some of you on the other side of the pillar. I would just like to say hello to everyone on the other side of the pillar. I hope you can hear okay. That's kind of biblical, right? Because you've got the Lot's wife in the Old Testament turns into a pillar of salt when she looks back when she's not supposed to. I think all poets were good at looking back when we're not supposed to. If we didn't do that, we wouldn't be able to write what we do. It's such a pleasure to read with three of my actually really good friends, Paula, Matt, Sebastian. We met in different ways, sometimes physically, sometimes on the internet, but here we all are. I'm excited to chat with everybody after and hang out in this space. Read a couple of poems from the book, Requiem for Used Ignition Cap. I'm going to start with the opening poem. It's called Llano River Sunset. I've heard the river is a portal to the next world. Looking in it, you enter the body you'll be after skin's departure. John Michael slid the gun off safety, fired 2 rounds into his chest, and then said nothing to the river. McCreary got back from Iraq 6 months before that, did the same. My aunt was crazy, schizophrenic. No one heard her on the phone when she asked for their help. Each year, I walk across the dam where the 3 of them slipped. This is all I can do before I meet them at sunset. Leaving an elegy of yellow perch and stars burning blue and ash white, there is a mist of gnats to swallow what I say, and the river feels cool where my feet step in it, though its concrete lip burns. The old man fishing with his grandson between me and the horizon is enough. Let the end of grief be both of them, saying, look, like a homily, hauling up over the dam 13 moonslick catfish. And what I thought I would do is just read you a couple that kind of take you through the book. One thing that's really unfortunate, but also a big part of this collection is gun violence. The next poem I'm going to read is about that. It's called Ascension. And it wasn't intentional to write poems that have violence in them, but when I was talking to an interviewer, he said, your poems are very violent. I said, oh, really? This was the first time I had thought about it that way. But it's something, if you're a rural person, obviously a lot of guns, right? But then good and bad decisions made with those and the fallout of that. This is called Ascension. I saw a blue jay eat the breast of a mockingbird. Overhead, trees leaned toward him, and his feast of feathers broken open and pink as a peach's center. I did not lament this, as I did Jacob Countryman's perished mother, whom he shot and then threw in a gasoline fire right after practice. This meant on Monday, while we pitched together, he planned to do it. Gravity meant less than each 20-gauge cartridge expelled and opened. The soul departs, I've heard, into emptiness blue as violence, or the sky thickening to clock night's appearance. Between the trigger finger and trigger, the air provides no resistance. It is the space around the soul I am worried about, not the obit's omission of what Margaret felt or did not before death led her from her body, calling out above it. I think of rising when I grieve for her, and the way something evident sometimes isn't until placed beneath us. His fastball rose that day. I reached up and caught it. The coach who taught him how to grip the ball, a 2-seam, a 4-seam, a curve, was his mother. I wonder what he said to her, sliding off the safety. What gets remembered from this life, and are there blue jays after it, is a question I want to ask her. Are you a mockingbird or not? Is there a choir singing there? Are you happy, Margaret? I am very fortunate to have a partner who supports my poetry and writing and has come all the way from Philly via Austin here. And I asked her, what poem should I read? And she said, Pasture Ode. So this one's for Ramya. Thank you for all your support. This is after I had a teacher up in New York named Sharon Olds, who's a really fine, awesome poet. This is written after her. It's called Pasture Ode. You whose gospel is blood and rust, snarl and blossom, you spring's first arbiter and best storyteller, you of drought and fragment, you sin salvation myth, you wheat chaff of language, come and be the bee brush Christ is cut and crowned with, you whisper. Become me. You cicada ringing, you time's final silence, of which I am a part, as your sliced sun goes down, you of disappearance, you prophetic and sometimes terse, dense as Rilke in your thicket fortress, you of eschatons, similar to thunderclouds just before they're raining, you, my family horse, Escoba, who placed second once in the Derby, you Gethsemane red, sweating blood injected back into yourself. You resurrected lyric, you my wine and water, you my miraculous, you my animal form, which is to say, when you enter a poem, I live in it, grazing beyond any weak synonym for patience. You my barbed wire fence, its deer-proof boundary, and what exists beyond the fence, which is my not knowing. You returning as horse lord, if given the chance. You in April, so blue with new flowers blooming, that in your gallop, at first seeing them, you blur. Bodiless blueness then, blueness only, into which your departure is infinite, effortless, here already.